Hello everyone. Welcome to Parwaaz video series on planning the next normal. My name is Jawad Khan and I'm the CEO of PSDF and country head of Parwaaz, National Accelerator on closing the skills gap in Pakistan, set up in partnership with the World Economic Forum. Our guest today is Mr. Ghias Khan, President and CEO of Engro Corporation. Ghias is also a co-chair of Parwaaz and leads the working panel on agriculture and livestock. Welcome to the platform, Ghias.
Assalamu alaikum, Jawad, and thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Likewise. Ghias, can we get started by requesting you a brief introduction on Engro Corporation?
Sure. So Jawad, again, I just want to thank you for inviting me to this discussion. It's an honor and a pleasure to be part of Parwaaz and the panel. So just to give you a little bit of background of Engro Corporation, we have, mashallah, say over a 50-year-old history. Started off with SO coming into Pakistan when gas was discovered, and they established a fertilizer urea manufacturing plant. SO then became Exxon. Exxon in 1991 decided to exit Pakistan, and that's where and decided to exit from their fertilizer business globally, and ended up selling their stake to the management of the company, and that's how Engro was born. Engro from that point onwards, mashallah, say from a urea plant, operating a urea plant of 250,000 tons, has turned into a diversified conglomerate. Our fertilizer capacity right now is around 2.1 million tons. We are in the petrochemical business. We essentially operate in 4 verticals as we speak. So we are in energy and infrastructure, which includes our power generation businesses and our terminals businesses, where we are importing, enabling the imports of both LNG and chemicals. We are in petrochemicals, so we have a PVC plant in Port Qasim. We are in food and agriculture, so we've got our dairy business, our rice business, and then of course our fertilizer business. And then we've recently started the 4th vertical, which is the connectivity infrastructure vertical, where we have recently established a tower sharing company, and inshallah, not only do we hope to grow that, but we'll go into other areas of connectivity infrastructure also. So in a nutshell, a company which was started off as a fertilizer company has now, mashallah, say, grown into a diversified conglomerate operating in these 4 verticals.
That's a fantastic success story. Thank you for sharing this with us, Ghias. Given the devastating impact that COVID-19 has had over businesses around the world, and businesses in Pakistan are no exception, how has it impacted the different businesses within the Engro portfolio?
So, Jawad, it's by virtue of being a diversified conglomerate, by definition, the impact has been different on our different businesses, right? So, if I was to, let's say, start with our flagship company, which is Engro Fertilizers, and I'm going to talk about the challenges of operating a plant that's a different bucket, and I'll classify that under a different bucket, and I'll talk about that later. But purely in terms of business, the good thing is that, mashallah, say the farmer economics has held up this year in Pakistan. So the farmer economics is good. The farming community is seeing good results. So the demand for urea has been steady, and it hasn't taken any sort of a hit. The government has also tried to support the farmers in every way, and so the urea demand overall, the fertilizer demand has held up, and that business is mashallah, doing reasonably well. If I was to talk about our petrochemical business, our PVC business, where we essentially produce 2 major commodities. One is PVC resin, which 60% of that is used in manufacturing pipes, which goes in the construction sector. And then we also produce caustic soda, which is where the biggest customers are the textile companies. So obviously, because of COVID, textile exports has taken a hit, and hence the demand for caustic has been thin. It's picking up slowly, but it took a big hit. Construction sector also, has been slow to pick up. So overall, Engro Polymers, which is our petrochemical business, has taken a bit of a hit because of a curtailment of demand of both of our products. If I now move on to the power generation businesses, our energy businesses, there the challenges are, I think, talked about everywhere, because we're selling to the Central Power Purchasing Authority, and we know the issues that the government currently has on the circular debt, because of the circular debt and building circular debt. And if I add the current fiscal pressures that the government is in, also because of COVID, it sort of increases the problems of that sector. So as a business of power generation assets, our concern is that of any company which is part of this chain, where we feel that unless and until something is done about resolving the issue of circular debt, there will be liquidity pressures, and payments will be tough. And it's not. I think that there is good realization in the government sector also. They're doing a lot. They're doing everything they can to make sure that we come up with the right policy measures in the medium and long term to solve it. In the short term, of course, the government is doing sukuk bonds, raising funds to pay the IPPs so they can get on with their operations and business and pay their fuel suppliers in turn. But a lot has to be done. Our chemical imports and LNG terminal, they're operating fine because Pakistan is a gas-based economy, and so roughly about 13 to 14% of the country's gas supply comes through our terminal, and that's operating, mashallah, say well. Chemical import terminal is also operating fine because we're supplying some essential chemicals to the manufacturing sector, different customers in different verticals. So that business is going okay. Telecommunication infrastructure is one of those, even though it's a nascent business, Jawad, but it's one of those businesses which will probably see a uplift in these times, because what COVID has done is that it has, as just like the conversation we're having here, we're using the internet, we're using the online facilities available to us to conduct business. So the demand for data will go up, and hence the infrastructure requirement to enable that will also see an increase. So that business is, if we feel good about the fact that we've actually entered the right vertical, and we don't see an issue, at least in this time. On the food, on the dairy business and rice, our rice business is, mashallah, doing reasonably well, because there's good growth in the export market, and the current devaluation has also helped in our products being a little more competitive. Our dairy business, which is being run by our partners Friesland Campina, is facing some issues, but I'm quite confident that they're also trying. They have the right strategy and plan in place to get out of it. They had some regulatory issues because of, after the devolution of power to the provinces, there were certain differences in the interpretation of laws which are applied to food, and those things continue to take their time in getting resolved. So since we're not running the foods business ourselves, that's being run by our partners Friesland Campina. So I'm going to not get into too much detail, because we watch that business from a distance and are not involved in the operation. So Jawad, that's more or less on the businesses, but clearly being part of essential services in nearly being classified as essential services in nearly all our businesses. We obviously need to take a lot of care for making sure that there are enough redundancies in place. We have introduced new rotas and shifts just to make sure that, Khuda na khasta, if any of our people at the plants get infected, then there are enough backup plans and redundancies in place, because we can't stop our business.
Of course.
Fertilizer is providing fertilizer to, essential input to 33% of the farming community in Pakistan. So the repercussions of not being able to operate our plant can be, huge. And similarly, as I mentioned, in case of LNG, if 14 to 15% of the gas is coming through our terminal, there's no option of not being able to run it. So we take that as we take a lot of, mashallah, say, pride in the fact that we are there for Pakistani economy to run. We're making our humble effort towards that, and we are trying. It's a huge burden that we make sure that even during these times, we operate our plants, keep them running.
Well, that's wonderful, Ghias. It's great to know that how Engro's such diversified portfolio is on the front line and providing such essential services. Does that also mean that most of the jobs at Engro have been steady? You haven't gone through a cycle of laying people off, and seems like that you're still hiring. Is that the correct assessment?
That is absolutely the right assessment, Jawad. We, Allah ka shukar hai, and thankfully we have not laid off anyone because of any downturn or COVID. Obviously, there is a natural sort of flow of employees which happens, and I think that happens anywhere at any time. But because of any sort of downturn, no one has been laid off, and as such, there is no plan either as of now, because mashallah, say, company is doing reasonably well. So and also because it's not something that we would want to do, even though some of the businesses are going through a difficult period. But this will be our sort of the last measure before we start laying off people. And at the moment, there is no such plan, and no one has been laid off. And you're also right that while for some of the positions, the new hiring has been delayed, but our graduate trainee program is continuing, and we're hiring people. Some of the positions at the senior level have also been filled. So Allah ka shukar hai, from that perspective, it's business as usual. Yeah.
Well, this is great news for the young people that are looking for jobs. I just want to get a sense from you in terms of what the outlook for the business looks like over the next 12 to 18 months. And as you said, it's a highly diversified portfolio. So for some of your critical businesses, what's in store for the next 12 to 18 months?
So Jawad, if we were to talk about, again, I'll start with fertilizers because that's our flagship business. We don't see any challenges barring Khuda na khasta locust attack. And if we can prevent that, then we don't see any challenge on the demand side. Like I said, farmer economics has been good, and there is no reason to believe that it'll be stretched in the future. And if we can just control the locust attack, because that will have a direct impact on the farmer economics, farmer income. So if we can negotiate that attack well and take all the precautionary measures, which we are doing, I think the government as well as the armed forces, everyone is involved. They all realize the danger of not handling it right. And inshallah ta'ala, if we're able to negotiate it, I don't see a challenge on that business. 12 to 18 months, I would say is for our petrochemicals business, for the construction sector, I think the amount of effort that the government is putting into to getting the construction sector going, which is directly, our PVC demand is directly proportional to how the construction sector does, because we provide one of the major inputs. I see that demand is also picking up. Our textile demand is also picking up. So I'm not that concerned about that business either. The business which sort of concerns me amongst all is our power generation business.
Okay.
Because I don't think that in the next 12 to 18 months, the fiscal problem or the fiscal pressures the government is under will go away.
Yeah.
In fact, it has a tendency of it probably get worse before it improves. Tax collection is going to be difficult in an economy which is not growing. And I think that the government really needs to think out of the box and get on with power sector reforms. And that is by starting with bringing about the right efficiencies in the distribution sector. And privatization may be a path to that or may not be. And I have my views on it. But the bottom line being that the discos cannot be or should not be run the way they are. They need to invest in the right technologies. They need to prevent theft and the line losses, and overall efficiency of the distribution sector needs to improve. That's the only way, and then bringing about the right kind of mix in terms of fuel cost, and then really hoping and pushing for the industrial activity to pick up so that the capacity that we have in the power sector gets utilized. At the moment, we have excess capacity, and the government has to make payments for that capacity. Really what you want in the 12 to 18 months is for the industrial activity to pick up so that capacity gets utilized and paid for by the industry. And then at the same time, in parallel, you work towards deregulating this business and bringing about the efficiencies and downstream in the transmission and distribution. And that business worries me because I feel that while there is a lot of effort going in, I'm hoping that enough action gets taken. So let's hope for the best. But so to answer to your question, that while I'm not that concerned on other businesses, I am really concerned on our energy business.
Ghias, by and large, your outlook for Engro looks quite stable. So in that context, what are some of the specific jobs against which you will continue to hire over the next 12 to 18 months?
So, Jawad, we have a graduate trainee program where we induct graduate engineering graduates every year, and then they go through a whole program, and that's a very well-known program at Engro, and that will continue to happen. We are setting up.
Yes, is that a large program?
Jawad, I'll share the exact number with you, but let's put it this way, that the number of engineers that we will induct will be the same as we have last year. So we're not reducing it in any way.
I see. Okay, understand.
So I don't want to quote the wrong number. So
Sure. No, that's fine. I understand.
I can share that later with you. But we're not reducing the number in any way. So that's one. The other is that we're starting our businesses. We're setting up a business in the connectivity vertical. So that's a sector where we will obviously hire people who've got telecommunication expertise or infrastructure management expertise and technology expertise. So
understand.
These are the regular hirings and growth hirings because of a growth sector that we've identified. In addition to whatever gaps that will need to be filled otherwise.
So Ghias, just moving the focus onto the current workforce now. Obviously all our companies, given the uncertain times we are in, most of the companies are being very, very careful with spending, and training spends also come under a lot of pressure. The new reality of working from home is also making it difficult for the workforce to, undergo learning and development needs the way we used to do them. Are you seeing the learning and development needs of your workforce being met more and more through online learning and development platforms?
Jawad, so there's a lot of thought going in there right now. We set up an Engro Leadership Academy very recently. By recently, I mean in 2018, and that program was to get launched formally this year. We delayed on it because of a number of reasons, but this year it was going to be launched. And it stopped because of COVID, because that's very much a program which is believed to, it requires live interaction as opposed to online.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that has been a bit of a disappointment. But we are definitely focusing at the moment on how we can curate content online and what are the trainings that can be given to our people. And because there is a lot of demand coming internally also, because people who are working from home, and obviously even those who are in our plant facilities, they're sitting at home, even in their living quarters, and they do feel that it's a good opportunity for them to learn. So there's actively a lot of work that we're doing in finding the right kind of content that can be delivered online. One of the key developments that has happened is that we're building a virtual sort of an academy for our some of our engineering related courses.
Okay.
And that's pretty much an internal Engro program for now, but let's see how it goes, and perhaps we'll make it available to public also at a later stage. It's too early to comment on it at the moment, but but that's perhaps happening. So answer to your question, Jawad, is that nothing concrete as yet, to be honest.
Okay.
But lots of research being done, and hopefully soon we will come out with a proper program which can be taught online, or set of programs which can be where training can be delivered online.
Certainly. Ghias, this pandemic has also necessitated the need for the businesses to innovate, and innovate fast, in order to ensure business continuity. Are there any about 2 or 3 initiatives that come to mind that were taken in order to deal with the current pandemic, but now will become a permanent part of your business and operating model?
So I think, Jawad, the one thing that sort of worked for us, and we're double downing on it, is the use of technology. So we started implementing a SAP. So we started a SAP implementation initiative about a year and a half ago, and that is the largest SAP deployment to date in Pakistan. Okay. It's across all our businesses and on a single platform. So it's a very large deployment, and mashallah say that has been very beneficial for us and has enabled us to have that platform which can then be utilized by back office functions to work from home. And then there are lots of mobile applications that will be added to it to enable our sales force and our warehouse teams to use in this pandemic. And what we've realized is that is an area that we are going to double down on. So our technology spend is going to be more than usual. Okay. So we've actually decided to invest more on technology than we would have otherwise, because it has worked for us. And there's several digitization initiatives that are going on in addition to the core SAP deployment. On a business model innovation side is perhaps one of the examples I can think of where we're keen to work with the government is on the energy side, because we think that the market needs to get deregulated. Yeah. It has to move away from a single buyer to a multi-buyer model. Monopolies have to go away. Good thing is that the government has a lot of paperwork and policy framework, work for policies future policies on and frameworks already done. Obviously, it will require to be changed and tweaked, and more engagement needs to happen with the private sector. But that's where we're trying to bring about in helping or doing our part in bringing about certain innovation in the way the business works or in the business model itself.
Okay.
So that's certainly happening, and yeah. So technology on the front end and back end, and then some innovation on the business model where we feel the current one is seriously challenged and will not survive.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, that's happening.
Ghias, what about the in the context of the saving jobs and continue to create jobs for the youth? Are you familiar with any industry initiatives that are taking place within the different businesses? And is Engro part of any such initiatives?
For Jawad, if it's specifically related to saving jobs and our participation in any such initiative, nothing comes to mind, to be honest, Jawad.
Okay. Okay.
We would be very eager to take part in any such initiative, but haven't to date, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay.
I think the way we are thinking about it ourselves, because you got to start with your own setup first. So
yes.
we are not laying off anyone. We are not cutting back drastically on training. In fact, we are now trying to see how we can reskill some of our people and give them the necessary training online and develop them in different skills. We're certainly focusing on that, but so far we haven't formally become part of any initiative. But we'll eager to learn, is what I'll say.
Yes, our youth that's now coming to the job market is coming in very despondent and uncertain times. A lot of them were not able to graduate, and complete their programs at the college and university level. A lot of them got into jobs, but because of the current economic situation, lost them. So what is that one positive message that you will leave them, which lifts their confidence and their hopes in the current environment?
We live in a country which has tremendous resources. There is, while we complain a lot about the many things that have gone wrong in the last few decades, the truth is that this country has tremendous potential. We have a $50 billion agriculture sector where there are 30 to 40% inefficiencies, if not more, and it can easily convert into $100 billion in about 10 years if we do a few things right. We have a mining sector, mineral mining sector, which we haven't done anything about, and it can become a big source of our export. There is, inshallah ta'ala, when COVID, we're over that hump, our security situation is a lot better. Tourism can pick up in Pakistan. We've got so many natural resources. There is so much talent in Pakistan, and there is so much potential to do well. So while we will have these challenges in the short term, the big picture for us is okay, is good, looks good. So my message to the people will be that, keep hoping and dreaming for the best, and just do your part by working hard. You may not get the job of your liking, but go with what you get and give it your best. Don't be half-hearted. There are times when you get work which you are not passionate about. That's life. But don't sit idle. Come up with ideas, do anything, take the job that you're not probably very fond or passionate about and put your heart and soul in it, and work hard. And I think once you get into that mindset of working hard, then, whenever God gives you that opportunity, you're ready to take it. If you don't work hard, it'll go by and you won't even know it. And that's what one can hope for, right? That God gives you the opportunities and you're ready to take them. So I would say it is a challenging environment, but keep working.
So that is very, very, very valuable and very pragmatic suggestion, Ghias, for the youth. Thank you very much for taking the time and talking to us. It was an absolute pleasure.
Jawad, it was an absolute pleasure to be here, and it was good seeing you. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Likewise, stay well, stay safe.
Yeah, thank you.